Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Jerick Show. My name, as always, is Javad Malik, and this is the only show you need to get your weekly fix of security news, views, and
Welcome to the Jerick Show, featuring your hosts Javad Malik and Eric Krohn. Timely topics, poorly presented.
So today is Friday, the 27th of September, and Tampa area in Florida, well, other bits of Florida have undergone a massive storm. There have been trees knocked over, houses have been flooded, people have been absolutely without power and water and all these kinds of things. Unfortunately, Eric Krohn isn't one of them. Hello and welcome.
Really? You're going to start with that, are you? Unfortunately, I'm not one of them.
Well, you're a prepper. I think even if it did it, hit you,
Yes.
you'd be able to survive
Sort of
a few months.
Sort of a prepper-ish. I suppose you're right. Yeah. Okay, I can go with that. I can live with that. Yeah. No, it has been crazy out here, man. It has been pretty nuts. Lots of flooding, and not just in Florida either, man. This has been impacting all the way up the coast of the U.S. Like South Carolina, North Carolina, like they've all gotten so much rain from this storm. It's been mind-blowing how bad it's been around here. So yeah, I was supposed to be in I was in Boston for a day or so, day and a half with one of our colleagues, Roger Grimes. We were at the anti-phishing work group, e-crime 2024 thing. I was on a panel there. And we ended up having to bail and come back early because this thing was kind of bearing down on it and closing airports and all kinds of stuff already. So been a little bit of a madhouse here in the midst of our craziest time of the season ourselves anyways.
Well, I must say, I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you made it back safely. And I'm glad your house hasn't lost its roof or anything.
No, we lost some trees. We had a banana tree come down and almost take out my daughter's car. Literally missed it by 6 inches. And it's just, that's the kind of minor damage. What's been worse around here has been all the flooding causing like house fires. You don't think about that, right? All this rain, all this flood, all this kind of stuff. But what happens is it gets into the houses, starts shorting out in the electrical stuff, and lights them on fire. I sent you some videos earlier of some stuff. They're like showing a fire over here, and then they pan over this way, and there's another house like probably a mile away up in flames. It's pretty crazy. They even had some stuff out here this time where they recommended that people, if you have an electric vehicle, they said, get it out of your garage. Because salt water mixing with the batteries on the EVs causes houses to burn down. And I was like, oh, well, that's nice.
Wow. So what do they do in coastal towns where you've got like a lot of salt in the air and moisture? And I mean, I know it's all good when you're in California and the tech bros are testing out the cars in the desert.
I just don't even know. I mean, that is one of the dangers around here. With those EVs is when it floods and stuff, there have been problems with that. If you've ever seen a lithium battery fire and then you throw water around it, it's not a pretty thing. Do you remember when John Hammond wrecked that race car with the EV race car when he broke his leg?
Richard Hammond.
I'm sorry. Yeah. What was I thinking? John Hammond. Yeah. When he broke his leg and all that, they said they towed the car in. Yeah. They said it was like catching fire for like a week or two afterwards, just spontaneously catching fire. You're like, know. Oh my God.
Now that's scary. That is real, just like for a week. But bringing it back on topic, because we're not like EV experts. Well, we're not really experts in anything, but we like to play ones. Whenever we see any sort of natural disaster, we hear a lot about scams going on. Have you seen any?
God. Oh, dear. But not so far at this particular one, but every time there's a storm around here, especially one that does a lot of damage like this, what happens is you have all these people that like jump in, and they're like home repair experts, roofing, all of this kind of stuff that goes on, literally to the point that they're slapping, printed magnetic signs on their vehicles for companies that don't exist. And they'll go around house to house, and a lot of times, and they especially like to prey on the elderly. They'll be like, hey, we need to do this. Get me some money. I'll go buy the materials and come back and fix your house. And people are kind of desperate at this time. And frankly, to get licensed contractors and stuff and those to come help at this point in time is very tough, because they're just crazy booked, right? So they prey on this, they take their money, and then of course never return. Or they come back and they do just an absolute shoddy job that it's more dangerous than before they did anything. So we see these stories all the time about how people are taken advantage of by these types of individuals, in all kinds of ways for this repair type stuff.
That's really sad, but it's not unexpected given the world we live in.
Yeah, it's frustrating to see these people getting taken advantage of like that. I mean, and you'll see it on the news. We'll see stories for the next couple of days about people like taking money to go. They're going to come back and cut down the tree, but we need to go get our gear real quick. Just, give me some money to hold your spot here, and I'll be back for that. And like 3 days later, they're like, and they never returned.
Yes.
Okay. That, and we're going to see online scams too. Recovery.
Yep. Speaking of online scams, do you remember a few months ago where the US government finally said no more Kaspersky anywhere? Before it was like just only government, but then they said no US citizen, nothing Kaspersky. That was October the 1st or something, I think. Or
I think it was supposed to flip like October 1st that they couldn't sell anymore. Didn't they like fire their employees? Like they had to let everybody go. Because how are they going to sell over here, right? What's that going to
exactly
do?
What are the employees going to do here?
Yeah. Would you like to renew right now for 10 years? Or like
apparently though, that even wasn't they couldn't do that even if they wanted to, because Kaspersky took matters into their own hands. And what they did is that the software deleted itself and installed Ultra AV antivirus. And the story says, without warning, when journalists reached out to Kaspersky, they said, oh, anyone that was registered, we sent them an email and what have you. But, they then also emailed customers saying they would continue receiving reliable cybersecurity protection for Ultra AV. And if you don't know Ultra AV, they own a whole bunch of these VPN services around the world.
Which are always totally legit. I mean, NordVPN.
Yeah. They own like some of these VPN services and some of these publications that review VPN services and kind of stuff like that. So I don't know. I personally probably would have hedged my bets with Kaspersky. But I think
totally
I
legit.
think this is like we spoke about this last year, where the US government was going around patching vulnerable exchange servers.
Yeah, it was exchange servers. Yeah.
And we spoke about it then, about how it's, you get the intent, but going into someone else's machine and changing their software is not really a good idea.
Dude, and this is not just like any kind of software. All right. We got to look at what happens with things like antivirus. All right. Antivirus runs at ring 0. In other words, kernel level type stuff. If somebody's going to be wedging in new crap that has kernel level type stuff, I would think I would want the yes or no ability to do that. Right. Like you look at what happened with CrowdStrike, right? It's at the same level. It's the same sort of thing. It's EDR software.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, like, people are like, I woke up and found out there's a new antivirus on all of my machines.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? And yeah, they probably sent an email or something saying, like you said, we're gonna set you up. But Who the hell thinks that's automatically going to land in their freaking lap?
Exactly.
Especially days early.
Yeah.
I
It's
just, wow.
it's unclear whether Kaspersky users have found Ultra AV installed on their computers didn't see this notification or were confused because it didn't explain that Kaspersky would be uninstalled and replaced with Ultra AV. So,
yeah, they might have been thinking they were going to get like license keys or something like that and install it themselves. I would never in a million years imagine that they would just uninstall and install someone else's product.
Yeah. It's just dodgy.
And that's why we threw them out.
Yes, exactly.
It's funny because, I mean, ultimately, I got to say, did we ever find any evidence that Kaspersky was actually doing anything bad? Or were we just like, well, there's a possibility?
If there's evidence, I've not been privy to it. I don't have top secret clearance like you do.
Yeah, mine's expired. But yeah, I mean, I never actually heard anything saying, and maybe one of our listeners knows or viewers knows, but I never actually heard that they were caught doing anything dodgy. It was more like, you're from there, so go away.
Eugene has ties to the KGB or whatever. Anyway, before we go too much into conspiracy theory land.
Yeah.
So UK railways stations, several of them had some unsavory messages displayed on the boards not too long ago. And, so so there was like Islamophobic and other horrible messages being displayed to passengers attempting to connect to the public Wi-Fi that is offered within these stations. But British Transport Police, the BTP, revealed that it was an employee of Global Reach Technology, which provides some Wi-Fi services. So it's a third party, and is being arrested under abuse of access or like the Computer Misuse Act and under the Malicious Communications Act.
And this is a hacktivism thing, right?
It's a hacktivism thing. It's an insider threat, hacktivism. Trying to push an ideology or beliefs or what have you.
Right.
So, it's one of those things that, it's easy to say, oh, it was just a rogue employee, which technically it was. But then you think about the psychological impact something like this has on people that might have been around when the 7/7 attacks happened in London, or something else happened, or with the way the world is at the moment. This could scare people. This could leave some scars. Let's put it that way. It's not a minor thing, I think. Whereas you can't laugh it off and say, oh well, it was just a message. But I think there's a human impact to these kinds of things, which is why people want to go out and do this. That it needs to be vetted better, I suppose.
It's interesting. I'm reading here, it was a 17-year-old.
So
down on the bottom there,
was
is that right?
That was a different attack. So
that
was Transport for London, TfL, who run all of London's tubes and everything. They had a breach where they first went out and they were like, what is it, Comical Ali, who was the Iraqi spokesperson at the time, like, there is no trouble here, and like behind him, like the Americans are taking over the base. We have full superiority over the skies, and like, So that's what TfL was like. They were like, no customer data has been impacted. A week later, 50,000 customer records have been reached here. So
gotcha.
In that one, they arrested a 17-year-old in relation to that.
Back to the defacement thing. I don't think I've ever told you this before, but I actually had a WordPress taken over years ago, probably, God, I had to have been 15 years ago or so now. I had a WordPress site that was up, and there was a 0-day in WordPress, and somebody hit it and replaced like the main screen with a bunch of hacktivist type stuff. And, it really was kind of a personal affront when that happened. Like, I was like, how dare you? What are you doing? Like, oh my God. And there, yeah, it was just kind of a really bad feeling. I can only imagine if you have something on a larger scale, like, whatever.
Mhm.
I had about as many people going to that website as we have listeners on this show.
Oh, so
If
about a
that
few
gives you any.
hundred.
So I was the only one that saw it, I think. But there's these mass campaigns that go out and they leverage against a lot of those 0 days like that. And they're real quick to deface stuff. And that's just part of modern kind of psychological warfare. This is psyops, and it's real.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed. So moving over to something a bit more lighthearted, there's a survey done,
Oh boy.
which says more than a third of employees share sensitive work information with AI tools. I don't think that's a surprise. Personally, I was thinking it's probably better that you shared details with AI than Karen in the office, because she just spreads gossip everywhere.
Yeah, this is going to be a bigger deal. It's going to continue to happen. James is here. Number one fan. Yeah, we have 3 of them, and he is number 1 by far. No, nice to see you, James. It's this is going to be an ongoing issue with this, and we do need to be training AI. It is important that it learns, but not only do we have this issue with people throwing legitimate like work stuff in there that may be sensitive, right? But we also have to worry about people putting not so legitimate stuff in there to poison some of that as well. It's kind of funny. I've been seeing a lot of sessions. I've been involved in a lot of stuff having to do with AI lately, and that's a real concern there too, is having that kind of stuff happen where we're poisoning the AI and it's going to give you bad answers. I saw some pretty cool stuff here at B-Sides Vancouver Island, where a guy was showing some ways to do some stuff in AI, basically changing the summary and stuff like that. Because a lot of people now, what are we doing? We're grabbing documents and we're throwing it in there to summarize, and it does a good job summarizing. But much like steganography or something like that, we can hide things within those documents that will change the summary and what comes out of it. And I think it's pretty interesting, all these little attacks that we have. So you start throwing stuff in there like that, who knows how poisoned it's going to end up getting.
Yep. But one thing, staying on the topic of AI, you remember like not too long ago, OpenAI, they kind of like cloned Scarlett Johansson's voice for their AI, and then they got
in trouble for that.
They got in trouble for that because she didn't give them permission, because she voiced the AI in the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix. I don't know if you've seen it. So they were trying to go down that angle. She wanted nothing to do with it. But Meta have actually signed up to legit A-list stars to voice their AI chatbot. It is none other than Dame Judi Dench and the Doctor of Thugonomics himself, Peacemaker, John Cena.
John Cena. Oh, that's beautiful. John Cena's hilarious. Hey, speaking of which, real quick, did you see down there Maggie Smith passed away? Look down to the right there. From I know you don't watch much in the way of like Harry Potter, but she was McGonagall in Harry Potter. She's been involved in like all kinds of different TV shows that are exceptionally popular. What is it, Downton Abbey, something like that? And anyways, just saw that today. Makes my heart break. I am a Harry Potter fan. Sorry.
Oh, jeez, I thought you were an adult. But
hey,
clearly you're just a muggle.
I'm telling you, man, the books are funny. You don't get all the humor in the movies. The books are funny.
What kind of funny? What kind of funny? Give me an example. Sarcasm,
little stuff out there. I'm not going to give you any specifics.
So you're just throwing stuff out there
in books. Read
so
it.
You just throw. So out of 8 books, you can't even give me one specific example.
I'll get you the.
That's a no. I can't waste time with people who can't substantiate their claims. So anyway, until next week, hopefully the storm subsides, Florida gets rebuilt again, and and we can get back to work as normal. Until then, stay safe.